Today, I'm talking to a lawyer turned advocate for inclusion, education, social equity, and a survivor of tuberculosis. He's a person I like to call a champion for community safety, someone who is passionate about people, Nigeria, and Africa. His name is Asoro, and I hope you get value from this conversation.
Thank you for having me. My name is Asoro Abubakri. I'm a youth development expert and health advocate. I believe in youth advocacy because I believe that it is one of the underserved section of the society. The youth voice needs to be heard. Rights of the youth has to be clamored for, which includes young people inclusion in governance, welfare, employment opportunity, and every other privileges that they need to, grow and find their standing in the society. I am also an health advocate. I survived TB some time ago. This is an illness that could have possibly killed me, but I escaped narrowly. Why was it? Is it a disease that kills? Yes. Why did it nearly kill me? Ignorance. So, and I have come to realize that it is because people have ignorance about the disease. It is what is accounting for growing numbers of incidents of deaths. Nigeria is currently ranked the seventh deaths occurring from TB across the world. India is one of the leading countries of the deaths occurring from TB. I actually became a TB advocate after surviving the illness because I realized that ignorance accounted for, it is a major factor that is accounting for deaths across Africa, especially in Nigeria. And I grew up and I was born in a remote community in Ikorodu, Lagos, Nigeria, where most of these things are usually attributed to spell. And that was my first impression too, until I became enlightened and realized that there's nothing like that. And ever since then, I've joined the campaign in Lagos State against the disease. We have well enough been able to, help over 300 people escape the campaign. In fact, on the public service announcement material of the Lagos State government, my face and two other people is majorly featured on the public service announcement. And we are also doing community-to-community engagement and enlightenment for people to understand this, the effect of this disease and why it is not a spell, why they have to see a doctor, and the solution does not lie with the spiritual leaders and all that. We also carry the spiritual leaders around with us in the campaign because they are the first point of contact with some of these people. In Africa, most of us still believe so much in spiritual leaders. So we need to also carry them along to also, so that when they see cases such as this, the first place they direct them to is the public health system. So there is one of the my passion for these areas is basically built because of the environment I grew up in. I am also passionate about fighting poverty. I was born in a family that has its financial challenges growing up. I am a product of a broken marriage, which I was brought up with single mothers. And I think I have to mention that because single motherhood is now another syndrome that is, affecting our society in Nigeria and Africa. So growing up was a little bit tough, and I see how people suffer to struggle to feed and all that. And so I I and some other people formed an organization, an NGO that is focused at providing a free financial, a loan interest-free financial assistance to members of the community on how to grow their business and all that. So basically, my area of focus is focused on these three major area.
When did you know that it was time for you to start doing what you're doing?
You know, I said earlier that I am a product of a broken marriage, and I was brought up out of the marriage circle. I was brought up by my grandfather. My grandfather was a community leader, and he put me on this path as young as at 6 years old. I started following him to community activities, political activities, and all that. So he literally set me on that path. And personally seeing things around me and all that, I keyed into this. Because like even while I was in primary school, I've always participated in leadership activities through to my secondary school level, to my university level. When I was in secondary school, I was the president of the press club. I became the president of the press club when the organization stopped functioning. So it's built on me to, resuscitate the organization. And from there, we started training young people who grew passion in journalism, who developed their confidence in crowd confrontation, crowd management, editorials. Part of my hobby is writing articles. So I actually got that training from the press club. Then through to my university level, when I became the secretary of the Law Student Association of Nigeria, Lagos State chapter, where we tried to also make a lot of changes in that angle. Especially the most significant one and well-pronounced one was the amendment of the Now Bill. Initially, the bill was fashioned in a way where open distance learning is, more like a second class, more treated like a second class degree certificate in the market. But the amendment helps it to, stand shoulder to shoulder with conventional universities and also projects it into the limelight as the future of education in Africa. Today, young people, because part of the problem with young people in Africa and Nigeria is accessibility to education,
right?
Access to education, and Open University have the solution to that. The tuition are cost effective, and it also allow poor young people to work, earn their living, and also pay their school fees. So it's more like the solution to solving access to education in Africa. So through that level, till now that I become the youth coordinator for National Youth Council of Nigeria, Ikorodu West. So through that journey, I've also held position in other youth organizations where we have made change. One of it was Youth Assembly of Nigeria. On that platform, we launched the campaign for Learn to Young to Run, to support the Learn to Young to Run campaign. And it had a lot of effect in Ogun State, where we focused the campaign then, because that was around 2019, where in the State House of Assembly, we have young people who made it to the assembly. So these are the things that, propel this, taste for making change in the society.
This is very inspiring to me and probably a lot of people. And your focus on even youth advocacy and the work that you've done in, influencing change in policy making in the school that you were. Some people would sit back and, when they see things that has to change in their society, they probably might not even know what they are capable of. But all of these things, I believe, is in your DNA already before you go out, because you said your grandfather has been the one putting you through the engagement in community works, advocacy works, and even political seeking and the rest. So the youth advocacy and development work that you're doing, can you share like some of the most rewarding moments you've experienced while working with young people? As we know that, well, all of these things that you've identified with what is going on with young people, can you just highlight some moments that you've experienced while working with them?
I think, yes, I think that moment was when we started having breakthrough. Initially, when we started, our society has some perspective about young people that do not let them open their doors for young people programs and projects. Initially, when we started, part of the major challenges we had was funding. People don't want to listen to young people. They believe that when young people come to them for funding for programs, they just simply want to embezzle. So there was issue of distrust and all that. So over the years, we have to start by, bringing like minds and passionate people together. And this allows us to always put our own personal resources together to, do projects that impact the community and all that. So, but the most interesting moment now was when we become attractable to, NGOs who now provide us with grants. We've done about 3 grant projects, and even we are beginning to see corporate bodies now that are offering to partner us on some of our programs. One of the major programs that we do here when in terms of education is to provide free JAM forms to young people in our community and free JAM tutorial, because most of these young people cannot afford the JAM because of the level of poverty. They cannot also afford tutorials to make them succeed in the exam. So we decided to come up with it for free. When we started before in the first year, it was our personal resources that we put together. The second year, it was the same. But this year, good enough, we had a corporate body that came in and said they will fund everything. So it was a big relief and breakthrough for us. And I think it is one of the most exciting moments for me. And the days when the grants come, they check our documents and realize that we will be trustworthy to be, given the finance to do some of those projects. And these were projects that makes a lot of impact in our community. For example, the one we got from UNESCO through Society for Family Health was supposed to help us to embark on an advocacy journey in our community to solve to cause behavioral changes and campaign against rape, cultism, and other harmful practices. In our community, majorly, cultism, was a thriving activity. Every young people sees this as a future and start growing passion for cultism. So it became a challenge, a security challenge at that matter, where most people are even afraid to come to this area. A lot of bad things about the community in the news and all that. So when that grant came, it was a bold and challenging step for us, because we have to confront the devil. They are not really devil per se. We also have to convince them that those practices are not the best practices, and it is not the full shot that we yearn for young people in our community. We did that, and I can assure you the community became peaceful, very, very peaceful, until of reasons where the insecurity take another turn. Now, some of them have now the major issue now is now the issue of kidnapping, but that of cultism has drastically reduced. That grant also helped us to campaign against drug abuse. It was a massive campaign against drug abuse. We engaged some, government parastatal that deal with drug abuse, and it also helped us to reduce it to the barest minimum. Even though it is now beginning to find its way back, we are now also strategizing again to see how we can, curb it. And the issue of rape, we were able to achieve a lot of results. So these are activities that even victims do not always like to speak up about. But over the years, through the campaign and collaboration with some of the agencies, some of them grew boldness to talk about some of these things. and it has led us to the arrest and then, prosecution of some of these people. There were a time where a week can hardly pass by without us getting a report of sexual harassment and rape. But now, even in the last 2 to 3 months, even this year, I don't think, okay. This year, I've only gotten one report. I think I got one report last week, just one report this year. So it goes to show the level of how reduced it is. But we will not stop until we make sure that every single woman, girl, and young ladies in our community are safe. Nobody is harassed or sexually molested. So this, for me, the biggest moment for me is in every of this activity is when we achieve success. And when I see our people smiling, it gives me hope. Sometimes people have even tried to question me, question us whether we have political aspiration, because in this part of the world, people, in most cases, don't do things for free. They either do it because they have political aspiration or campaign or election is coming. They want to, buy people over and all that. But over the years, they've realized that a year has passed, 2 years has passed, 3 years has passed, 4 years has passed, many years have passed, and we have not stopped doing what we do. So they have come to realize that this is just a passion that we have. And each time I see the smile on their faces, I see our projects making impact, I see the changes that it is bringing to the society, it gives me joy. One other one that recently, gladdens my heart of recent was one of our expressway, that the government is just built, that is under construction by the government. People took advantage of that and started, passing one way, and there is hardly a week or a day that goes by without incidents, without people dying on the road and all that. And immediately we stop the road, create awareness to people, and all that. I am glad that today, in a month after we launched that campaign, there has not been any single death. There has not been any single death. So even each time I pass on the road and I realize that we have not had a report of deaths, it gives me joy. So these are the best moments. The best moment for me in each of this activity is when I see people smiling, when I see that our activity is bringing change to the community.
I think in one way or the other, one of the things that brings joy to people is that, when they are doing what they love, where they truly, truly love to do, I think you truly love what you're doing. And I also think that, if you want to change a community or the society, you have to start by educating, re-educating and engaging the young people at all levels, which is really commendable about the work that you're doing, because a society cannot change without education. A society cannot move without education. And with all of the things that you've been through, with the tuberculosis disease you had in the past, which propelled you to want to kind of ensure that other people don't go through that same pain that you went through. You don't have a lot of young people who would, from that, have a change of mindset that they want to give back to the community and the society at large. And this makes me want to ask, being recognized as the best COP officer. I mean, when I saw that, how do you give a person the award of best COP officer in Lagos State, right? So what brought that about? What's the background of that story?
Okay, you know what I did? Immediately after surviving that tuberculosis, I started a foundation which I don't have the resources to register. But I started and we started awareness program in the community and all that. I sold my phone and joined my month salary with it to do that program. We started the campaign. A month after the program, the initial program I did, the Lagos State government was granted a tuberculosis and malaria grant by Global Fund, and then so I decided to, because so that my voice can be heard enough, I need to join an organization that is already established and all that. Since I could not register my own foundation and I don't have resources to throw around, So I decided to join one of those foundations that was sub-granted. It is called the MA Foundation. So after, in fact, on my day of interview, I can still remember that experience. I was nearly rejected. Why? Because I don't have any specialization in health. I am majorly a lawyer, so I have my background in law and all that. So they said, how can we, hire you as one of our volunteers? You don't have any experience in science and health. How? I told them, this is not about how, it is about my passion. I have passion for this. I am a survivor. And the interviewer was nearly going to reject me before the supervisor now came and I said, what did you say you are? I said, I am a survivor. She said, how? This type of people we need for this campaign. They will be passionate about it. And that was how I joined. So after joining, I invested all the passion, their campaign. I won't do things, add my money to things, to do things, to go extraordinary to make sure that I give the best to the campaign and all that. And we did the first year, the second year, the third year, they just decided to initiate an award process to, commend some of their best and I became the first to get that award in the state.
So, the advocacy, the volunteerism in ensuring that, okay, you are also part of the process is what, part of the job that you're doing is what is actually giving people the right education. And this is quite a huge responsibility. So this brings me down, because of this, brings me down to you being a lawyer. You are originally a lawyer. And then you have all of this advocacy work. You have all of these social development responsibilities put upon yourself, on your shoulders. How do you manage you being a lawyer and you actually do your advocacy work?
In fact, this week, like since 2-3 weeks ago, I really felt the effect of this question that you're asking me, because I have to. It looks like every aspect of those change activity were at their peak, and I need to deliver at that peak. I need to shovel my professional career, shovel the change making activity, academic career, almost like 5, 16, almost at the same time. But I think there will always be a time where our, ability to manage schedules and all that will be tested. It was tested in the last 2 weeks, and I think I survived it. But it's part of the challenges to, test how someone can, persevere and, persevere and then, manage pressure and all that. So the most important thing is the passion. When there's passion, there will be will. And when there's will...
I was going to say that. Yes, I was going to say that, because if you don't love what you do, if you don't truly sincerely love what you do, there'll be a breaking point, and then you're going to lose your line of 10. And it's pretty important, because it's not easy to connect trying to make change in the society, because that's a whole lot of work to handle on its own. And now to bring down the academic profession, like you said, and even the law profession, and even managing your work with the logistic company, which is focused on change. It is amazing how you are able to balance that. And, this is probably a wake-up call to every other young people out there, that as long as you love what you do, there won't be so much content for you to say this is too much pressure. You're going to love the process. You're going to love the pressure. You're going to love the roller coaster ride, because you're going to enjoy it, because it's a ride, right? So, focus on corporate governance and arbitration, because it is part of your profession. So like in your pursuit for constitution, in corporate governance and arbitration, it showcases your dedication to professional growth. So how do you believe that these skills have contributed to your effectiveness in your various roles, either in your advocacy work, the change work, and all other things that you do?
Definitely, I am not the only young person in my community or in the state or in Nigeria as a whole. And I am not the only young person who is passionate about change. But but one need to have something that will make someone stand out. For example, if you need to convince partners, if you need to have partner on your side, you have to, be able to, negotiate and discuss and win them over. I think it is one of those things that my background has been able to, provide. And on corporate governance, I have also brought the experience learned in corporate governance to administration of these advocacy activities. For example, one of those things that we do, I can remember one recent experience. We wrote one of our partners, trying to partner us on one of our projects. It is actually a campaign against cultism and drug abuse that we recently do about 2 months ago. We wrote this partner to, partner us on this project and sponsor us. The partner did not respond. So I said to my team that what happened? This is not supposed to be. So I now told the contact person to forward the link of our social media handle to that prospective partner. Immediately, the partner click on the link, swipe through our activities on social media and all that. I don't think it even takes up to 10 minutes before the person credits our account. So what is the magic? The magic is just that as a young person, whatever you are doing has to be visible on social media. Social media has made things easy these days. It has to be visible on social media. Your report has to be professionally crafted and convincing for partners to read. And you also have to craft it in such a way to show that you are using it to solve a societal challenges. And you must buttress it with, the requisite visual evidence, that pictures, videos, and all that. So, and this is what we do constantly on our pages. We also ensure that we operate a corporate account so that partners can see that their money is not going into, private accounts. We also ensure that we submit reports on monthly, weekly basis as we do each of the programs, and also send to our partners. So they have confidence that we are spending their resources wisely. So I think accountability, transparency, professionalism are one of the things that I've learned in the professional world that we are bringing to the volunteering and change-making activity. Now, arbitration. I am particularly passionate about arbitration. It has helped me in the youth, advocacy campaign, because in most cases you have to negotiate with young people. You have to see ways to bring them over, to change their ways and all that. But in the corporate world, especially in Africa and Nigeria, where the road to justice is always very long, and this has been driving away investments in Africa, because the objective of investors is to make their profit in the fastest reasonable periods they can, and think of another business to do and all that. But when you have a litigation system that slow justice, a slow justice system that slows the whole process, it frustrates businesses and all that. And this is where I have passion about arbitration. It even drives me to become a professional arbitrator, because I believe that when businesses cannot come to round table, discuss, and arbitration is a fast way to justice. And I believe that when businesses are forming their contracts, they will have this clause in their contract so that it will help them, to scale through, to help them to get justice in time.
I mean, this is a lot of things that you put together, and I think that when people build capacity, when they go through some experiences, it is the value of those experiences, the value of the capacity that they are building, that would determine how efficient
they could probably be in their next venture, which is already helping you in your advocacy work. And all of the things that you're doing in building a team, because you have to know how to build a team, you have to know how to communicate with your team, you have to know how to also communicate with external stakeholders, like you said, and communicating the right way, actually. So all of these things that you're doing, looking into the future, I mean, you've done a lot already, but looking into the future, what are your goals? What are the plans that you have? Are you looking to expand on this, or are you looking to do new things?
My goal is to one day see a young person become the Nigerian president, is to see young people taking their place in the society, is to see the business world growing and embracing arbitration, is to see tuberculosis to become a disease of the past in Nigeria and in Africa. It saddens my heart when I see reports of Nigeria being number 7, being number this, being number that. Africa, Nigeria does not have to be the headquarters of diseases, and it does not have to be the headquarters of poverty. So I'm just believing that going forward, we would be able to overcome most of these challenges. I think I will just be, reinvesting my, energy towards this area, even in my professional career.
Right.
So these are going to be the cornerstone of our campaign going forward in life.
And this will win. The entire Impact Badger family is wishing you the best in your future aspiration and all of these goals you set for yourself. And obviously you would have advice for other aspiring change makers, right? So what advice do you have for them to offer them, looking into some of the things that you've done in the past, the challenges that you've gone through? What would you advise them moving forward?
My advice for young people is to believe in themselves, pursue their dreams vigorously, and I would also like to address we call it Japa syndrome in Nigeria, which simply means people, relocating from Nigeria, relocating from Africa to Europe. It is fine. It has its economic benefits for the country too. Probably supposed to generate foreign, revenue, ad dollars and all that. But I simply want to tell them that nobody will change the situation back home except them. Nobody will change this country. Nobody will change this continent except Africans. Europeans will not come to change it for us. We will have to change it for ourselves. And we cannot continue to be running away from our shadow. Some of us have to stay back home and make sure that we will cause the changes that we want to see, or that we see in Europe, and make us escape to Europe. We have to stay back home and make sure we are part of that change, and we do it genuinely. Most of them do well when they go abroad and all that. The orientation changes. You can also invest the orientation norm. And those that are also abroad should also remember, all the time, invest at home and all that. I just believe that we should believe in Africa, we should believe in Nigeria, and we should also believe in ourselves. When we believe in ourselves, we believe in our ability and capabilities to make these changes. It will propel us into action. When we take this action will enable our community to get better. When our community is better, the nation becomes better, the country becomes better, and Africa become the highest beneficiary of it. So I just want young people to believe in themselves, pursue their dream, believe in Africa. We are going to get there definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the advice. Thank you so much for the journey that you shared with people right here on the Impact Badger. So we want to think that yes, you've read a couple of books and some of them have changed your life. So can you share some of those books, one or two that has changed your life that you read in the past?
Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. But the most important one is my Bible, is the 58th Law of Power. It teaches young people on how to navigate our world, how to navigate leadership. It is more like my Bible. Especially that Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. It shows it shows the pain and the price for freedom. So, and events have really shown that freedom does not come free. It comes with a price. And someone has to lead the change. Someone has to pay the price. And this is what some of our founding fathers in Africa and for the Black people have done.
Right. So I think this is beautiful, and because of all of the great things that you're doing, we want to say thank you for the impact you are making. Thank you for the real significant changes that you're making in your society, in your community, in the society at large. And thank you for inspiring other people to actually go out there and make the change and do the work. And we want to end this discussion, this interview, with a very short quote by Deepak Chopra. It says, when you make a choice, you change the future. You've actually made a choice by yourself when you survived tuberculosis to ensure that million other people do not make the mistakes, do not die from ignorance. You made the choice to ensure that you educate other people, and then you save lives. So this is me and the entire Impacts Badger family saying thank you for the work that you do, and we wish you the best. We wish you amazing future. Thank you for coming on to talk to us.
Thank you for having me and the opportunity given to me to share my story to young people in Africa and around the world. Thank you so much for having me.